Greece is a country in southeastern Europe with thousands of islands in the Aegean and Ionian Seas. It was influential in ancient times and is often called the cradle of Western civilization. Athens, its capital, preserves emblematic monuments, such as the citadel of the Acropolis from the 5th century BC. In general, Greece's climate is temperate Mediterranean. Its winters are mild and rainy, and summers are hot and dry. Travel ideas for your next vacation in Greece. Athens, the capital of Greece. Be sure to visit the Acropolis inside Athens, which is located on a peak and with the remains of the ancient Parthenon as the authentic jewel and icon of Greece. Enjoy the Central Market. Enter the Acropolis Museum. Stroll through the ancient Agora and the Roman Agora, as well as enjoy traditional dishes such as moussaka, gyros, or Greek yogurt. Crete, the largest of the Greek islands, Crete is perfect for enjoying cities with atmosphere, beaches with crystal clear waters, villages anchored in time, archaeological ruins, wild nature, and delicious food. Corinth, famous for its canal that connects the Aegean Sea with the Ionian Sea, has the ruins of ancient Corinth as the main reason to consider it a must-see. In these ruins is the fantastic Temple of Apollo from 550 BC, and a little further away, the Acropolis located on the mountain of Acrocorinth. Corfu is an island in the Ionian Sea, so much so that you can walk in its old town and in the cafes of Elliston. It's a charming place and recommended if you travel with small children. The United Kingdom, composed of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, is an island nation in northwestern Europe. Its capital is London, a center of economic and cultural influence worldwide. The UK generally has cold to medium winters and warm summers with moderate variation in temperature during the year. These travel ideas will come in handy if you want to visit the United Kingdom. London is one of the best cities in the world and the #1 attraction to see in England. What to see in London? Vibrant places such as Camden, a number of interesting museums. Piccadilly is the famous River Thames, the Tower of London with its bridge, Big Ben, and the Houses of Parliament, Westminster Abbey, as well as flea markets and cosmopolitan life. Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, is, without a doubt, one of the places to see in the United Kingdom. The historic centre of the city, with Edinburgh Castle as its main emblem, is one of the most outstanding in medieval Europe. Stroll through the old streets of the Royal Mile, with its old low houses, whiskey distilleries, and the history you can breathe in the air. Snowdonia is one of the most beautiful natural places to see in the UK. It encompasses an area where lakes, mountains, and forests create a spectacular atmosphere. Cambridge is one of the oldest and most prestigious universities in the world. Buckingham Palace, the luxurious personal residence and workplace of Queen Elizabeth II, is Britain's most famous home and is open to the public. Cross the threshold of Buckingham Palace and enter the Great Hall to admire the curved staircase, which is made of marble and decorated with portraits once placed by Queen Victoria. Mexico. The word Mexico comes from the Nahuatl Mexico, which means the navel of the moon. The official name is United Mexican States. It is a country located in the southern part of North America. It is the 14th largest country in the world. The climate of Mexico is very varied. It has temperate and tropical zones. To the north, it experiences lower temperatures during the winter months. To the south, temperatures are more constant during the year. What to see in Mexico? Here are some ideas for you. Mexico City is a metropolis full of contrasts, where ancient history mixes with modernity. Explore the ruins of the Templo Mayor, the heart of the Aztec Empire, and admire the majesty of the Metropolitan Cathedral and the National Palace. Enjoy world-class gastronomy in Polanco. Also, visit the Bosque de Chapultepec, one of the largest urban parks in the world, where you can find museums, lakes, and recreational areas. Caribbean Cancun is famous for its white sand beaches, crystal clear waters, and lively nightlife. Relax in the luxurious resorts of the Hotel Zone. If you are a history lover, a good idea would be to visit Oaxaca, a colonial city. Declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, it is a cultural and gastronomic treasure. Stroll through its cobblestone streets, Admire the Baroque architecture of the cathedral, and the Temple of Santo Domingo Los Cabos is considered one of the most beautiful tourist places in Mexico. Los Cabos dazzles tourists with its kilometers of beaches bathed by the Sea of Cortez, famous for their golden sands and turquoise waters, immersed in mountain and desert landscapes. Australia is a country surrounded by the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Its main cities, Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, Perth, and Adelaide, are coastal. Its capital, Canberra, is located in the interior. In Australia, summer runs from December to March, with average temperatures of June to August, with average temperatures around 13 degrees. Here are some ideas if you plan to travel to that beautiful place. Sydney's Opera House is the country's premier venue for concerts, theatre, opera, and many other shows. Attending one of the scheduled shows is an activity that you cannot miss if you are visiting Australia. Melbourne is a city full of tourist attractions, restaurants with a wide variety of food to taste. A walk through these streets is like walking through a modern art gallery. Kangaroo Island is the third largest island in Australia with a unique natural environment and spectacular geography. Here you'll find koalas, sea lions, penguins, wallabies, a multitude of bird species, and, of course, kangaroos. There are almost 20 national parks on the island, and with the Kangaroo Island Tour Pass, you can enter many of them. Whitehaven Beach, this is arguably the most famous beach in Australia. Its beauty is exuberant due to the pure white of its sands and the crystalline turquoise of its waters. If you like diving, then you should visit the Great Barrier Reef, is the largest coral reef in existence. In it we will find hundreds of different species, sharks, turtles, manta rays, corals, and other marine species. Colombia is a country located in the far north of South America. Its landscape features tropical forests, the Andes Mountains, and several coffee plantations. Its capital is Bogota. Colombia does not have the four seasons. The seasonal regime is bimodal, and in almost the entire territory there are 2 rainy seasons, from April to June and from August to November, and 2 summer periods. What to see in Colombia? Here are some ideas when planning your trip in this wonderful country. Medellin, in this beautiful city, there's a lot to see. Why not take a walk through the Plaza Botero in Medellin? In addition to the fascinating works of Botero, the square has 4 sectors of green spaces, evenly distributed, and has wrought iron and wood chairs, thus becoming the perfect place to contemplate and admire the artistic landscape, cultural and social of Medellin and its surroundings, and this next idea will delight coffee lovers. National Coffee Park in the Coffee Region, Colombia, is competing for the first place in the production of the best coffee in the world along with Brazil. For this reason, the National Coffee Park was built with the aim of disseminating the culture and history of this bean that is consumed by most of the Colombian population. In the Coffee Museum, there are 4 interactive rooms dedicated to telling the story of coffee. Surrounded by greenery and views of the city, the National Coffee Park is ideal for the whole family. La Guajira is Riohacha, a city facing the Caribbean Sea and next to the desert, founded in 1545. Considered the quietest in Colombia. Guatapi, one of the tourist places in Colombia that you can visit near Medellin, is Guatapi. This colorful town is world famous for its proximity to the Piedra del Pinal, a gigantic monolith that you can climb to enjoy one of the most impressive viewpoints in the country. Cartagena de Indias. This tourist city is one of the reasons why many international travelers come to the country, and it's no wonder. Its historic center is one of the most beautiful in the world, surrounded by walls, bastions, and forts, and has been recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. Turkey is a country that stretches from Eastern Europe to Western Asia, with cultural connections to the ancient Greek, Persian, Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman empires. The climate in Turkey is generally temperate, being Mediterranean in the coastal areas. Ideas of tourist destinations you must visit in Turkey. Istanbul is the tourist and cultural center of the country in this city. You can see the imposing Mosque Hagia Sophia or the Blue Mosque, which are its main attractions. But you can also visit the Topkapi Palace, the Spice Bazaar, the Dolmabahce Palace, Gulhane Park, or the Sultan Ayat Mosque. Ankara, which is the capital of Turkey, ideas to visit: the Nikkaber Mausoleum, Ankara Castle, and the Museum of Civilizations. Antalya is one of the main destinations in the Mediterranean is Antalya. You will enjoy its people, gastronomy, and beaches on the Turkish Riviera. Izmir is a city steeped in history, and it's no surprise because it dates to biblical times. But also noteworthy are the beaches of Izmir, or Izmir in Turkish. They're the perfect place for your holidays. Brazil is a vast country in South America that stretches from the Amazon basin in the north to vineyards and the massive Iguazu Falls in the south. Brazil's climate is characterized by being mostly warm, as about 90% of the country is in the tropical zone. Tourist places to visit in Brazil: Brasilia. Its capital, the modern infrastructure of Brasilia, has been designed in the shape of an airplane. Each of its sections serve as different commercial, governmental, cultural, and residential districts, and was also declared a World Heritage Site. Rio de Janeiro has sensational beaches and some internationally known ones, such as Copacabana and Ipanema, which are the ideal destination for those who want to take advantage of a little of everything. Sao Paulo is the economic center of the country, known as the City of Business. However, there is a lot to discover and do when it comes to tourism. Be sure to visit Paulista Avenue, Ibirapura Park, the Liberdade neighborhood, the Municipal Market, Augusta Street, the Botanical Garden, and much more. Salvador de Bahia has pleasant temperatures all year round. It is a place rich in culture. You will enjoy visiting its monuments and historical places. And why not? You can also take advantage of its beautiful sunny and quiet beaches.